Y'all over here crazy as hell if you think DDG career is over because he slapped this bitch, allegedly. There's so many niggas that came back from slapping that bitch, beating that bitch, bro. DDG is good. Only thing you gotta do is throw on a goddamn purple suit, go to a domestic violence convention, and donate $10,000 to one of them women that got their ass beat by their husband or some shit. Bro, domestic violence is normal in relationships, dog. Now, I'm not condoning it, but if I tell you to shut up, do you think it's wise for you to keep talking?
Hey all, welcome back to another episode. As always, I am your host here, the Empress H Speaks. Y'all, what this man is saying is not really a lie, because even in nonsense, there is a little sense. I'm not like saying he's totally right, but domestic violence in the world in general is normalized. It's actually recently that women have been able to an extent to start pushing back on it. That's why we're seeing a lot of cases of domestic violence. But domestic violence is so normalized in society to the point that an article of clothing was named after violence and abuse of women. The wife beater clothes. Yeah, we all know etymology came from the 1951 movie of a street car named Desire, 1947 case where a man beat his wife to unaliving. We all know about the concept of the extinction bust. That is the reason why most of these men are very vocal and aggressive with this mentality. Because their pool of victims is getting smaller and they can no longer trap their victims, okay? So when they make statements like this, that is saying the quiet part out loud, controversial statements like this, it's for the goal of grooming you to see it as normal. Normal not from a place of that is problematic, but normal from a place of, oh, there is nothing that can be done about this but to concede to it. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and see y'all on the back end for more commentary.
The crazy thing about the whole male loneliness epidemic is that men know what they need to do to get women. It's not that hard to figure out. They just hate that it would mean conceding to a matriarchy. They want women, but they also want women in a dynamic where they have the power. It's not just about wanting women. Like, they want to have women, but they want to also be in control of that woman. So it's less about them being lonely. It's more about them feeling like they're needing to concede the power that they felt like they were promised their entire lives. We're telling them to put in effort, whether that's effort in like their emotional maturity or the way they look, the way they present themselves, whatever. And they don't like that because they feel entitled to women. They feel like they shouldn't have to put in effort, at least especially not as much effort as women have to put into themselves in order to get women. If you look at the women, or if you look at the men that women like lust after, it's usually men, like in terms of public figures. I just saw a video of Pedro Pascal. It's men that stick up for things that are right. Pedro Pascal is obviously a beautiful man, but it's men that are comfortable with their masculinity. It's men that don't feel threatened by femininity. It's men that stand up for what's right and stands up for people who are marginalized or people who don't have as loud of a voice. But these men insist on clinging on to these patriarchal structures. And it's because they want women in the context of having power over a woman. They don't want a woman just in general. They don't want a woman as an equal partner. They want a woman that they can control and feel better and stronger than. Because in their mind, that's what it means to be masculine. That's what being a man means. And that's what we've all been indoctrinated into and what we've all been taught. But as much as we're trying to teach them that we need to break down this conditioning, they do not want to break it down because it's not convenient for them to do so. Because it sacrifices a lot of their identity. It's not that they don't understand, it's just the truth is very inconvenient for them. Okay, the truth would be like conceding to what women want out of men would be conceding to accepting us as equals. And that's not something that they're willing to do.
Let me go to Rocky. Rocky, what's your ideal type in a woman?
Subjugated, mute, knows her role, non-engaging, non-challenging, and can still earn a few bucks. This clown over here talks about this woman.
Refrain from name calling, but yeah.
Okay. I'm saying what real men want. Subjugated, quiet, know your role, know your position. Don't talk to me unless I inquire. That's pretty much it.
What do you want, like a woman from the mental ward? Or
I
something?
thought he was talking to me, man.
You should be quiet.
I'm sorry, Mr.
Well, no, I mean it's okay. It's okay for you to ask, but not in like a demeaning way or anything.
No, I think he should be quiet because
It's
everything
just
he said is
frustrating.
garbage.
Well, I would like clarification. So if you want your woman to be that way, what way are you going to be, Rocky? How are you going to? Because you do want a woman, right? So how are you going to serve her?
Okay, but how don't you get what I just said? What is your name? Pointer?
Yeah.
You don't get what I said. I said subjugator. So if somebody's subjugated, someone has to do the subjugating.
So you're going to be the one doing the talking.
Absolutely. If I need someone to shut up, then my role is to talk. I don't know how you don't get that. But if you get this show on again, maybe you should do a little pre-screening about women who know their role of what a woman is.
Saw that post on Instagram, and when I tell you that as much as I was angry, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked because I come from a society that see women as properties to men. Because a man pays a dowry, he automatically owns you. Hence, he can do whatever he pleases with you. That's why a man will say, "I will chase you out of my house," because he doesn't see his wife as an equal owner in the house. So yes, I was not shocked that I was like, oh, why would he say something like that? But I wasn't like, oh my God, why would, no, it wasn't shocking to me because I know that people with this kind of mentality exist in my country.
Men don't think that we're lying. They know we're not lying. They're just mad that we're calling the police now. Men have been abusing women since Jesus walked. We make a joke about Ike Turner. We think that shit is funny. It is not abnormal that a man hits his girlfriend or his wife. It's actually very normalized. What's not normalized is the woman calling the police. Y'all are only mad because we're getting the law involved now. Because beforehand, we never could. We never could call the police because, I mean, he was mad that day. Of course he's going to hit you. It's normalized. It is normalized for men to abuse women. That's why y'all are so pissed when the police is involved, when the law is involved, because before y'all could get away with it. Y'all daddies got away with it. Y'all granddaddies got away with it. But y'all can't get away with it no more. And that's really why they're mad.
I have so many regrets about being a stay-at-home mom, especially now that I'm going through this divorce from my husband. But one of the most heart-wrenching regrets about it is how me being a stay-at-home mom and turning over the responsibility for my basic needs, housing, clothing, food, the things that a human being needs to survive, turning that over to another adult and trusting that person to basically take care of me in this way. Like, what a gesture of trust that was on my part as a very independent woman prior to marriage. I got my first job when I was 14 years old, when I was in my first foster home, and it was a summer job at the Braille Institute. And it was the first opportunity I had to make money for myself, and I needed to do it because I didn't get a lot being in a foster home. And I used that money to buy like deodorant and clothes and shampoo, like basic things that I needed to live. It drilled into my head to be like independent, hyper independent. I couldn't depend on anybody, and obviously not my parents. And so I had to take care of myself. Even when I was in high school, I was working until like 1:00 in the morning at Rally's fast food in Inglewood, California. Like taking the bus like an hour to get home and then going to school the next morning. Been so hyper independent and not trusting of people because of those experiences. And so even into my adult life, I didn't really depend on people, especially financially, and never a man. There was never a man that paid my bills, paid my rent, paid for any of my basic needs. It never happened. I always worked. So when I had my first child 2 years into our marriage, and I worked those whole 2 years, when I had my first child and decided to stay home and talk to my husband about it, it was such a gesture and feeling of trust I had to have for him. I had to trust him that he was never going to use it against me, that he wasn't going to use the fact that he paid for things for me to control me or punish me or throw it in my face. Now that he's using it as a weapon against me in this divorce to try to punish me because I don't want to be married to him anymore. It's just the initial feeling and idea that I had never to trust a man was right. and now I'm paying the price for it.
This is unfortunate, but this is just one side of the story, okay? There's nothing wrong with you wanting to step out of survival. Yes, babes. There's nothing wrong with you for wanting to step out of survival or daring to trust your partner to have your back when you embark on this journey of motherhood, that you bear the bulk of the risk, even to the point that there are some women that don't even come out of the experience or process of labor, okay? And you expect your partner to at least make sure that the experience is as comfortable as possible. But I would suggest this because, let's be honest, men are women's biggest predators. Therefore, there should be provisions made for payment, okay, as at when due. Also, I recommend mothers to be work from home moms instead of stay at home moms, because how financially stable you are determines how loud your voice is in your home, because you have the ability to enforce your wishes or whatever. I also personally think that the least men can do is to make sure that their woman is good with whatever resources that they have available. But the more visible resource we can see is the financial resource. Therefore, if you are so hyper independent that he's not required to contribute anything, and he doesn't know the pains and cost of what it takes for you people to have what you have, it's not fair to the woman, because it will require way more from the woman to be able to maintain it. Therefore, I suggest that yes, it's necessary for you as a woman to be able to create and make provisions for yourself independently. Yes, but he should also be able to contribute financially to your advancement, whatever that looks like for you. Maybe you're a work from home mom that receives a monthly payment, etc. Basically, you can have your money and also have his money. This isn't said with judgment, because as human beings, it's normal to go the opposite way of what hurts you, not realizing that the other extreme can also hurt you. So let's also try considering gray areas, because sometimes gray areas have way more flexibility than the extreme end. Another thing, I want to throw this out there. I have this question, okay? What's with men's obsession with telling women to shut up? Did y'all notice it in two of the videos I stitched or attached? Two of the videos, the men were talking about, oh, and if I tell you to shut up, you shut up, or else. The or else was implied. Like, once we men are telling women to shut up, I personally think that this coincides with the social concept of women should be seen and not heard. But like, if you have a more in-depth theory, please share with us in the comment section, because what's with men telling women to shut up? I don't get it. With that being said, y'all, as always, I am your host here, the Empress H Speaks. This is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me totally, but keep it respectful in the chats. Don't forget to like the video, share, subscribe, the whole 9 yards. See y'all in my next video. Bye.